And I'm super excited to welcome you at Fluttercon for my presentation. I'm going to talk about how you can simplify your design systems and your UI reviews with your entire product team. I'd like to start my presentation with a question. Who in this audience has already heard about Widgetbook? Okay, amazing, it's everyone. And who in this presentation has already used Widgetbook before? Okay, amazing. Also a lot of people. And who is using Widgetbook right now in production? Amazing. Do you guys want to give the presentation? No, of course, I'm just joking. I'm going to proceed. For everyone that has not heard about Widgetbook yet, we are primarily an open source package and an open source company. And we've been super community focused over the past 2 years. We've been organizing a lot of Flutter events ourselves. We've gone to a lot of Flutter events. But we've, of course, not only had fun with the community, but we also actually built something for the Flutter community, which is why I've been featured by Google's Flutter team as experts for both design systems, but also for designer-developer collaboration. So, for example, Google team in this case and Adobe featured us at Flutter Forward at the biggest Flutter conference that happened last year. But enough about the past. What are we going to learn today? Today, we're going to talk about the open source package of Widgetbook. It's going to help you to build your own design system, and also it's going to help you to quickly test your widgets in various use cases. Then we're going to talk about Widgetbook Cloud as well. With Widgetbook Cloud, you can first of all host your Widgetbook to share it with your entire team, and then you can also use it to automate your golden tests, and then also to simplify your design reviews. And I'm also super excited to welcome to stage today 3 of our customers. First of all, we're going to have Joachim from Lotum, who's going to talk about how Lotum could maximize their developer experience at their game 4 Pigs 1 Word. Then we're going to have Anton from 1,5, who is going to talk about harmonizing the design development workflow with Widgetbook. And then we're going to have Albert from LeanCode on stage as well, who's going to showcase how LeanCode uses Widgetbook and how you can use Widgetbook as a software agency. So let's start with the presentation. How does app development usually start? Usually it starts with the client who has some idea, and the designer then has a job of bringing that idea to life in a design. And whenever your app should stay around for more than 6 months, you're usually considering building your own design system to ensure consistent user experience throughout your entire app lifecycle. And for designers, that's quite easy to achieve. There's a tool called Figma. Everyone knows it, everyone's using it. But unfortunately, for us Flutter developers, something like that didn't exist for a long time. And it was really difficult to build our own Flutter design system. That's why we built Widgetbook. We also say Widgetbook is the storybook for Flutter, because that's actually the background of our team. So we've been web developers in the past, always used Storybook.js. At some point, made the right decision of switching to Flutter, but unfortunately there was no storybook solution. That's why we decided to build it for ourselves, and then more and more web development friends switched to Flutter, and we decided, okay, let's open source it, make it available for everyone, and then a lot of people kept swarming in the Discord server, and here we are today, and I'm happy to show you how you can set up the open source package. So first of all, what's important to note is that Widgetbook is like a separate app in your Flutter project, and it works best in a monorepo structure where you organize your UI components in a separate package. And to include Widgetbook in your app, you use 3 different packages of Widgetbook in your app. One is Widgetbook annotation, the other one is the main Widgetbook package, and then also the Widgetbook generator. And as soon as you have them included, in your pubspec YAML file, it's already your chance to catalog your first widgets in Widgetbook now. And it's actually quite simple to do because you can just use our add_use_case annotation in front of the widgets. So how you're doing it, you are writing the add_widgetbook.useCase annotation. You provide the name of the use case. In our case, we just have one use case. That's why we name it default. And then you need the type. The type is just the widget that you want to include in the Widgetbook. In our case, it's an app bar. And then we need a method. You can name it whatever you like. We named it app bar use case. And then we're returning the app bar. And what's now important is that you need to mock all the required parameters. for that app bar. In our case, the required parameter is title, and you got to provide the mock. In our case, it's just a string, so we wrote groceries app as a mock. That's all you got to do. Afterwards, you can use our add_widgetbook.app annotation to create the structure of your widgetbook. And you can use that add_widgetbook.app annotation in your new main file of your separate widgetbook package. And then in the end, you're just returning your widgetbook, and that's everything, because afterwards you can just run the build runner so that the widgetbook initially is being generated for you, and afterwards it's automatically maintained for you. And then you can use everyone's favorite Flutter command, Flutter run, and let's see it in action. So you see here on the left side, you get a nice overview of all of your different widgets. So you can start just with your atoms. So for example, with your badge or your card, but you can also catalog more complex widgets like molecules. So for example, the basket card, or also entire screens like the basket screen. And you have the chance for each and every widget that you're cataloging to catalog different use cases of your widgets. So in our case with the basket screen, we have one use case empty and another use case filled. So you have, in the end, the chance to catalog all of your relevant use cases here. Additionally, because in the end, Widgetbook is just a Flutter build for you, you have the chance of also interacting with your widgets. So you do not only see how the widget looks, but you can also feel the UX of the widget. And that's already it for your design system. Was quite easy. And afterwards, we're now going to talk about how you can quickly test your widgets in different use cases using our add-ons and our knobs. Why is that even relevant? So nowadays, apps became more and more complex because we need to support multiple settings nowadays. For designers, in Figma, it's quite easy to build their designs for different device sizes, for different themes, for different languages. But for us as developers, it's always a bit cumbersome to test them. So testing our widgets in our use cases can take forever. And because we don't want you to go through that struggle and become a skeleton, we give you a Widgetbook that can give you some superpowers. And add-ons, first of all, allow you to preview your widgets in different global properties without needing to rerun the emulator all the time. And you can use the add-ons just where you're returning your widgetbook. You just have a new property called add-ons, and you then can insert a list of add-ons. An example here could be a theme add-on. So in this case, we included a light and a dark theme, but you can include different themes, as many as you like. It's just an example here. And if we see it in action, and we now have the chance to preview, for example, our basket screen in the filled use case in light and dark mode. You also have the chance to preview it easily in different device sizes without having to rerun emulators, set up different emulators. It's no longer an issue. You can just use it in Widgetbook. And same goes for languages. So you have the chance of also quickly showcasing your widgets, for example, in English or German. But here again, you can include many more languages, many more device sizes. Really, the sky or your imagination is the limit here. And these are only 3 add-ons I showcased. So amazingly, I'm super happy of having 3 of our customers with me on stage today. But we also already have quite a strong open source community around Widgetbook. We already have more than 2,500 active users in the Discord server, and they've been actively helping us to develop add-ons as well. So there are many more to explore. Feel free to check them out. Then we also have knobs, and knobs allow us to preview our widgets in different widget-specific properties. So in the case of the app bar, I hope you all still remember, there was the first use case that we cataloged. There we just provided the mock straight after the title, but with the knobs, we are able to dynamically override our widgets in the Widgetbook UI. So what we are writing here then is we're just using context.knobs.string. We provide it with an initial label. In this case, we call it title, that's going to appear in the Widgetbook UI on the right side. And then we give it an initial value. In our case, groceries app, that can then be overwritten. And let's see it in action. So we now have the chance to just overriding the title and are therefore, for example, able to check, okay, how does my title look if I do not only have one line, but 2 lines? Is it still the experience I wanted to have? And this example here is just with the data type string, but we provide every data type in Widgetbook, so also feel free to check out the knobs feature as well. And that's already it regarding the open source package. So the benefits of the free open source package are you can quickly build your own design system with Widgetbook, and can then also quickly test your widgets in different use cases. And if you want to get started, just check out docs.widgetbook.io. But I also promise you, I talk a bit about how you can simplify your UI reviews, and that's the next part. And therefore, a question for the audience again, who already experienced struggles in the collaboration with designers? Yeah, okay, that's also basically everyone again, and we are here to save you. So we developed Widgetbook Cloud for that. It mainly simplifies UI reviews for you, especially with designers, but also with product managers, QA testers, sometimes also marketing, basically anyone that is somehow involved in product. And Widgetbook Cloud allows you to do 3 things. You can first of all host your Widgetbook, but then you can also automate golden tests and simplify your design reviews. And for hosting Widgetbook builds, what you can do is you can just integrate your Widgetbook Cloud in your CI/CD pipeline to share one Widgetbook per branch and per commit. So basically, anytime you are pushing a new commit to your repository, we are hosting one Widgetbook build for that on Widgetbook Cloud. And to see it in action, you get a nice list of all of the different Widgetbook builds. And if you select a build, you then have the chance to preview it and share it with your entire team. And let's say the core feature that's mainly used on Widgetbook Cloud is our reviews feature. And with that, you can automate golden tests and simplify design reviews. And how that works is, whenever you are creating a pull request, we are automatically analyzing for you what changed visually in your UI. So what we're doing is we are taking snapshots of each and every Widgetbook use case cataloged in your Widgetbook for, first of all, your base branch. So in our case, here it's the staging branch. And then also for your head branch, in our case, it's the Fluttercon challenge branch. And then we are comparing those 2 snapshots of the latest builds with each other. And then we're running visual UI regression tests, or in Flutter called golden tests, for you to really figure out what changed. And then we present those changes for you in an overview. So on Widgetbook Cloud, you would first of all see a list of your open reviews that you have. And once you select the open reviews, as in this case, you get a list of all of those changes. In this example, in this pull request, we had 3 changes because our primary button changed. Also 2 screens were affected. And that's why, first of all, for us as Flutter developers, we can figure out, okay, where are my changes really intentional? Did I really wanted to have these changes? Yes or no? Yes, amazing, all good. And we can pass it on, because it can also be really interesting for the designers to check out what we built. And because sometimes it's not so easy to grasp what changed, we also have this highlight diff button. And that highlights for you in pink what changed when the widgets are more complex, as for example in this screen. And you then also have the chance to not only see on the left side, that's how the code looks before, whereas that's how it looks now, but you also have the chance, if you click on View Design in Widgetbook Cloud, to also see how does my widget look in Flutter versus the Figma implementation. And that's how you can use Widgetbook Cloud to keep design and code in sync. And afterwards, your designers and developers can live together happily ever after. Joachim, stage is yours.
Thanks a lot. So, hi. I want to give you a short overview how we could maximize our developer experience at Lotum by using Widgetbook. And my name is Joachim Böhmer. I'm a software developer at Lotum, and I'm also the lead developer on the team that is developing the 4pix1 word game. And I'm also a host of the Programmierbar podcast that might some of you know. And before the migration of our app to Flutter, our UI development in Swift and Kotlin was very time-consuming. And this has already drastically improved since we're using the hot reload feature of Flutter. And in most cases, we developed widgets like that we placed them directly on the start screen because we wanted to have them directly in place when we had to do a hot restart. But we also made it possible to adjust all app states via debug menu that is not visible in the app, but we can use it as a developer. You can see here in the animation how I change the current level and enter the correct solution to see the success layer for that puzzle. And so this is a possibility that we have to really address and create all app states that are available, and we need to verify. With Widgetbook, this has now drastically changed because we can now develop our widgets in isolation. And when we start to implement a new widget, we immediately set up the corresponding use case and then start implementing the functionality of that UI in Widgetbook. So we never go back to the app. We now have Widgetbook as the area, the part where all the development is taking place. And Widgetbook makes it really easy to visualize all app states that the widget can enter, especially edge cases that would be very hard to set up in the real app. What we experienced is that the app development of apps in isolation helps us really to identify the minimal RP that the widget needs to provide, because you only start reasoning about what you can represent with the knobs and the states that are provided by the Widgetbook app. And like that widget that you see here on the right, only needs information about the achieved position and the size it needs to render. And when we have more complex pages that we need to render, or widget-like pages that we need to render, we took the approach to decouple the view from the logic very early and introduce view models, so all that logic lives in the view model, and the view is more just a representation of that view model in that case. In a game, you have a lot of micro animations, and here at Widgetbook provides really great support of tweaking them. So you can do that by using the time dilation add-on provided by Widgetbook, which allows you to adjust the playback speed of your animations. And you can see this in the animation on the right, where I first run the animation at normal speed and then increase the speed by the time dilation so that the animation runs slower. So I can better inspect how that flying in of that badge and the popping of the trophy are interleaved. And especially if you have a lot of concurrent animations like you have in games, it's very simple to adjust this with Widgetbook. So it's a really valuable feature for us to have that in place. And it also makes it very easy for us as a developer to discuss those animations later on with the designer and really identify what was the optimal solution that the designer wanted to achieve in the first place. Before using Widgetbook, we always had to validate our layouts in different devices because our layouts is self-scaled, but we have different screen ratios that need to be taken into consideration. And what we had a lot of times, and we experienced a lot of times, that this is something that really is forgotten sometimes by the developer when he's developing a widget. So the developers themselves helped themselves by starting an additional simulator on the tablet device. And they were developing the widget on both simulators running. When this happened so often that we forgot to really identify and take the tablet size into consideration, that we had to do that validation as a fixed requirement in test rounds in our QA process. And this has now changed with Widgetbook because you can directly validate your layouts in your use cases. So for Widgetbook provides the device frame add-on for this, which allows you to instantly switch between different devices and screen sizes in Widgetbook. You can configure this add-on with a set of pre-configured common devices, but you can also create custom definitions with screen sizes that are most used by your real users. And with this add-on, it is much simpler to validate your layout during development and also in the design review process with the designer in the end. And with our Widgetbook, it was not that easy to identify and locate all the affected widgets of a feature in a review. At first, you had to enter and prepare the specific screen state and verify the design and the embedding of the widget in the app. And also the testing of all the UI set was quite cumbersome because you had to identify by the embedding code as a reviewer how the app state needed to be changed to really achieve or really visualize the widget in the corresponding state that you wanted to test. And when the designer discovered a glitch in the review, it was not easy to address because you really had to communicate in detail how the state could be reproduced using just the normal production or beta app. And with Widgetbook, this has changed drastically because we can now just review all the use cases that were introduced for a feature. And with Widgetbook, it is also very easy for the reviewer to identify and validate all the different UI states that a widget could extend or could really represent. So with the use of Widgetbook Cloud that was already shown and the corresponding GitHub app, you get a list of use cases and for all affected widgets that are attached to your pull request. And you can directly inspect and validate them in the Widgetbook Cloud. And this has really simplified the review of the UI parts of a feature very much. Here you see on the right how you can compare also this new version of the widget to the same widget version of the base branch. I think this is the old version of the Widgetbook, so it's a different view that you saw earlier in the presentation. Yeah, but in total, Widgetbook is really the tool that we use every day for doing our development process and really has brought us big gains in the collaboration also with the reviewers, with the designers, to identify what are the changes that need to be affected. And one last thing that I can announce here, we are hosting also a one-day Flutter event from the Programmierbar podcast on the 7th of November, quite close to Frankfurt. You will find more information about this event in the QR code that is presented here on the screen. And on this event, we will provide a very interesting agenda with a lot of German-speaking speakers. And for example, from Lotum, we will get a very deep insight how we are developing the 4px1 WordGate with Flutter. The final agenda will be online in a few days, so just see by and stay tuned for updates, and we will be very happy to see you on this event. So thanks a lot.
And I'm here a bit to talk about how we are harmonizing our design and development workflows with Widgetbook. So with harmonizing, earlier in February, we decided that for the next step for our company, we needed a true design system to really harmonize our design across all different software products we have and are developing it. And we thought about, should we go the material route because our apps are with Flutter, but quickly decided against it because we have some other projects that use different tech stacks, and those developers don't really like material. Maybe some Flutter developers also don't really like material. And also what we noticed is that our designers did not really like material as well. And so we decided we let our designers more or less choose how they want to work with it. And so our design team set up an atomic design system. We started with this in February, and we are already using this across 6 products at 1,5 grad. And so on the Flutter side, we also really wanted to have a really nice implementation of this design system to really harmonize our working collaboration between design and dev. So how does this look now? Basically, we have in Flutter, it's the atomic design system. And from there, we generate us theme extensions and then build custom components that use these theme extensions for all the atomic design components, so the colors, the spacing tokens, and so forth. And then we are adding the components to Widgetbook to catalog these components and keep track of any changes and making sure that it works. So harmonization. So we really wanted to harmonize all the things. So as I already mentioned, we are trying to harmonize our tokens. So what you see on the left is basically when you inspect stuff that our designers are building. For example, you see the padding, it's an adaptive spacing space 400 token. So as a developer, when I want to use this and build this, we now, using the theme extensions, we do context foundations, adaptive spacing space 400. So it's the same path, and the same for colors and the same for typography. And this makes it super, super quick to see a design in Figma and translate this, because you don't have really any, like, you don't have to think, okay, this is like a space 400 token. Okay, this is like 16 pixels. So what is 16 pixels on our code size? It's the same path. And the same goes for components. So we are building all components ourselves. And so on the left side, this is the panel a designer would see, in this case for a badge, and they want to adjust this badge. They can change the size, the color, which is like a style, whether or not it has a number, and the number itself. And then we have the same API option. So we see the brand, the color style is in this factory constructor, and then we can adjust the size and the number, but nothing more. So we really make sure that we are building what the design team is doing. And so we are also harmonizing Figma and Widgetbook. So on the left, you can first of all see the structure of the design system in Figma on the side panel. And then we are mirroring and harmonizing. We have to talk about the order still. That we also have all these components inside the Widgetbook. And then the same thing with the knobs, that the stuff designers can change for the badge. We can also adjust with the knobs. And so I will do a quick demo because that's just easier. So doesn't really scale. We can scale, I guess, using the zoom add-on. So for example, with the number, we can toggle the number on, and we say we want to make this medium and we want to be the brand thing. And this is what I mean, like we have everything from the design system we have here. So we can, for example, go into like our neutral colors, which I guess are zoomed in too much now. So this is for the foundation values, but also like molecules, like all of our buttons are here with the same options. And so this is cool, but we also notice that building the design system to make sure developers know how to use certain kind of things. If we go into more complex stuff, for example, we have, what could we do? Like when we want to show how our top bar here is fading in this sort of blur, developers can then look at the implementation of this Widgetbook use case to really make sure that they are building it as desired. So that's harmonizing our design system. But our main thing, our main app is the Heartbeat app, and we recently migrated this from a material to our harmonized components. And so we're also using Widgetbook for that. We have our full screens in there. We mock it with river pods and then certain sections with different states. So we can get really to the specific edge cases, because sometimes even for QA, it's super hard to find like a customer on staging with like a certain condition of products. It's way easier to just send them the link for Widgetbook. And so we use it for devs. Our designers are also validating on there, and then for QA and product. And then how does our workflow look? This is what our workflow looked before we had Widgetbook. And so design, hand it over to the implementation. We create a PR, we do a development review, we merge it, and then QA takes over. This poses some problems because in our experience, this tended to our developers looking at the code implementation and say like, oh, does this look really nice? Why doesn't it look like this? Developers tend to do this. Also, we notice our designers are not really in the loop of when stuff they designed is actually landing in the product. You merge something and then QA or design 2 weeks later says, oh, can you take a look at this again? This seems to not match. It's always possible that potential wrong stuff is coming to the customers. And also what we wanted to try to avoid is that we have any misalignments between design and code, because our goal is that at any point in time, our Figma file is also representing our app. How does it look now with Widgetbook? You can probably imagine. We now have a design review in here. So with Widgetbook, we now upload to Widgetbook Cloud, and as Lucas showed, we'll see all the use cases that did change. And so we're using that to let designers take a look at this now. And so before we then merge it, designers can look at it, validate it. If there's misalignments, they can do some adjustments in the Figma branch. And so we make sure that once it gets merged, everything is really up to spec. It's also super nice to, when then a dev during code review says, oh, this doesn't look really nice, I would like that this looks different. You can just say, I agree, but design said it shouldn't. And so it makes also development, like dev reviews, a lot quicker, as they can just really focus on the code quality and not about design. So with this process, what we're seeing is that we're already saving about 20% time for design and dev, which makes us really quick. And what I love about this at 1,5 Grad, that when we are saving 20% of the time, it helps us like have 20% more time helping our customers to save CO2. I'll also do a quick commercial thing at the end. So if you want to join later at 5:20 at the Flutter Forest, I'm going to give another talk about home screen widgets. So would love to see it and see a lot of you. And I guess with this, it's over to Albert.
Yeah, okay, so hello everyone. I'm Albert from LeanCode, and I wanted to show you how we use Widgetbook as a software agency. So for context, what's LeanCode? LeanCode is a Flutter software development agency that's based at Warsaw in Poland, and we do projects for clients both small, like startups, and enterprises, like some banks or big corporations. Because of that, we have our own design system that is we have it in Figma. The design system is maintained by our design team that's made it in a way that they know is the best for them to modify, to take all the client requirements into it. It's meant to be highly customizable, and what's really important about it is that each new project that uses this design system forks the project. They just make a copy of the Figma project, and now it's the design system of this client, so that they can do whatever adjustments or horrendous decisions they want to make without our design system team even having second thoughts about it. We have this design system implemented in Flutter, obviously, as part of our mono repository that we use for setting up the new projects for the clients in our template. And this design system has its Widgetbook counterpart. We use Widgetbook for having some kind of a documentation for this for all of this stuff that's present in the design system. As you can see here, that's just a list of colors with all the nice things shown in a table. But it's also used as it normally is for previewing all the different components, all the different bits and pieces, the atoms and the more complex widgets here, using all the addons and knobs that were already very well shown on the presentation here. Widgetbook here gives us a value in that the developers that are creating the design system in Flutter have a dedicated and isolated place where they can develop these components. They don't need to have a knowledge for how the template looks like, or have all the required stuff set up to run the whole application, but just the Widgetbook on the desktop. It's very easy to test various settings, and when we are developing a design system, we probably also want to take care of very different stuff, like if the text scale is well supported in the smallest and biggest values, all the different themes, the text direction, or the accessibility settings, like the bold text. And that it's available right from the development environment, and the developers don't need anything additional than they already have. So like the Xcode just to run the Flutter desktop. And we also use Widgetbook Cloud from recently for the template for our template design system, and this gives us a nice way of previewing the pull requests for people that don't have currently that they don't have the repository cloned right now, and we can also send it to the designers of the design system to make sure that all of it looks as it should. And also we have the golden tests, like difference previewing. And that was the template part of the design system, but after we fork it, it's now the projects, the client's design system. They have their own design system, basically for free, which is probably very nice for some of the clients that value such stuff. And what's even better, they have Widgetbook. Widgetbook that they can just leave there as a documentation for what was already developed, or they can build upon it further. Widgetbook also serves as a documentation for newly onboarded people, maybe from LeanCode when we are still doing the development for the client, or maybe for some people from the client that they should be onboarded with what's already available in the design system, what they can build the next pages with. And if the client wants to be more involved in the whole process of maybe the reviewing this stuff. Maybe they want it for the stakeholders. We can just deploy it, the Widgetbook to Widgetbook Cloud, because it's very easy to do so, and we have all the values provided by it. And also a small thing, our developers also like using Widgetbook, and back when there was no Widgetbook annotation package, I believe, one of our developers, just because they wanted to improve their workflow, he created a Visual Studio Code extension for creating the Widgetbook stories or the use cases automatically with some quick action. That's actually also available on the Visual Studio Code marketplace if you want it. Yeah, so that was it. Thank you.
Nice, yeah. Joachim, Anton, Albert, thank you so much. It was amazing for me, I think also for my team, for the Widgetbook community, to see actual showcases, because I'm obviously biased in giving these presentations. But I also have a big announcement to make. So we've been operating Widgetbook already for 2 years. We're also happy that we have paying customers already for 2 years, with whom we actively collaborated and brought this product to life. And today is the big day that Widgetbook Cloud is now live. So you can go to our website and check it out. It's now available for everyone.